Hello, and welcome to Wellness Wednesday with Dr. Latoya Wells. I am Dr. Latoya Wells, Doctor of Nursing Practice, owner of Wells Legacy Health and Wellness, welcoming you to another episode of Wellness Wednesday. We are in the month of May, and May is a month where we highlight, where we talk about several different important things. However, this month I wanted to focus on one of the main themes of the month of May is mental health. During our last Wellness Wednesday, we discussed mental health in women in different various stages of life. And today we're going to be discussing mental health overall. Mental health is important for everyone. There are many different people, subgroups, ages, race, ethnicities, you name it, who are dealing with so many things as it relates to their mental health. So tonight we're going to talk about it. If I had to give this a topic tonight is mind matters. Mind matters. Prioritizing your mental health every single day. We wake up every day and we have different things that we're facing, different challenges, highs, lows that we're dealing with. And to be able to navigate that can be difficult, but it can also be rewarding. And it can be easy for some individuals who have put different things in place to help them navigate challenging times, especially when it comes to mental health. And so mental health is not just your mental health doesn't just impact your mind. It impacts every single area of your life. And so if there's something that's off in one area or you're not 100% in one area, it's definitely going to impact you overall. And so today we're going to talk about mental health overall. And the next 30 minutes, we're going to be dedicating this live on some things that affect every single one of us, and that's our mental wellness and our mental health. As you know, with Wells Legacy Health and Wellness, one of my goals is to make sure that I am providing information that's important for you, that is realistic for you, and that is going to help you in your overall health. We are dealing with stress, caregiving for others, trying to stay balanced in a fast-paced world, work-life balance. You're changing life is happening. You're transitioning from one phase of life to the next. Can you find yourself in either one of those situations? I can definitely raise my hand and say yes. I can see myself in several of those situations, and mentally it can be tough. So before we get too far into this, if you have a friend or a family member or someone that you know, a colleague that may benefit from this, make sure you share this information, have them join, and drop a green heart if you are listening live, or if you even catch this on the replay and there's something that I shared tonight that is helpful to you, or that you've invited a friend to join along. So when it comes to our mental health, what is it exactly? Mental health includes our emotional, our psychological, and our social well-being. Makes up those three things. When we look at the overall person, there is, when I talk about holistic health, we're looking at the whole person. But mental health is the emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects how we think, how we feel, and how we handle stress, and how we relate to others and make choices in life and make decisions in life. And I can give an example of a time where I don't like public speaking. Odd, right? Because I get on here just about every Wednesday and I'm speaking publicly, but I'm sure behind a screen, but I still get nervous. I still trip up over my words. And especially when I am in front of others, I am stressing so bad. And other people say, I can't see it. I can't tell. But on the inside, I'm like that duck, the feet of the duck that's pedaling a million miles a minute underneath the water. On top of the water, it looks calm. But underneath, that duck is pedaling, right? It's trying to get somewhere and it's pedaling. And there's frantic movement of those feet. If that's what ducks have. I don't even know. Is it paddles? What do they have? I don't know. But I tend to be able to compartmentalize stress. And sometimes that can be good, and sometimes that can be really bad. And here's the thing. We all have mental health, just like physical health. It changes over time and needs care. I can remember, and I've been very open about this, when I had to take a leave of absence after my grandmother passed. And I was talking to a colleague, And I felt weak for needing to step away from work and from all responsibilities, given that it wasn't related to a physical issue. Like, I had surgery on my knee, I had surgery on my shoulder, and I had to take a step back from work and take some time off. And I had no problem doing that because I knew I needed to recover. However, when it came to my mental health, I struggled with that. And I had a conversation with a colleague who essentially helped me to remember, Latoya, remember when you had surgery on your shoulder and you took 6 weeks off, 8 weeks off? This is no different. Take the time if you need the time. But for me, it was so hard to step away from work if it wasn't anything physical. So I want to give you some quick facts. 1 in 5 U.S. adults experience mental health issues each year. Mental health illnesses, mental health issues, mental health breakdowns, shifts in their mental health. 1 in 5. So if you can count on your hand 5 people that you know, of those 5 people, one of those individuals is dealing with some type of mental illness. Depression is the leading cause of disability worldwide. And when I went out on leave, it was due to depression, anxiety. I was having panic attacks, insomnia. It was crazy. And I never experienced it to that degree until that time. Anxiety disorders affect over 40 million individuals in the United States. And during the pandemic and during COVID, we had an increase in individuals who were experiencing these symptoms: panic attacks, anxiety, insomnia. We saw domestic abuse and violence increase. We saw depression increase. And I believe it was because, and there's some studies that were done during this time, we had an outlet. We were able to get out and go with friends. We were able to hide it and mask it behind, at work. And so when we were all stuck in the house during the pandemic, things kind of escalated and exploded. And those individuals who were able to manage their mental illness or manage depression and all of the other issues and things that they were dealing with, because they had an outlet, those outlets were no longer available. We couldn't leave the house and go to work and get away from the stress of the partner, get away from the stress that was in the house. Or now we're faced with the financial issues because many individuals weren't working. So there's so many different things that happened. Mental health can affect our relationships, how we show up for work, even our physical health. And that's because the mind and body are deeply connected. It's one. You can't have, if you lose a big toe, it's going to impact the way that you walk with that foot, right? And so everything is connected physically, holistically, spiritually, emotionally, physically, mentally. It's all connected. And we have to understand that when one area is not 100%, the other parts of the body is feeling the impact of that. When we take care of our mental health, we feel more grounded, we feel more resilient, and we're able and better equipped to handle the ups and downs that life throws at us. For me, I feel whenever I'm in a good mental space, I can conquer the world. I can do anything. However, when there's something going on in my life, whether it's externally that's impacting me physically or mentally, then I have some struggles there. And I'm being honest, there are days where I do struggle. And I'm sure that many of you can say the same. And it's not all days are bad days, because they're not. And individuals who have mental health illnesses, we may not be able to see them. It may not be a physical manifestation or outward sign that something is going on with this individual, but we may be able to see it in the way that they act, the way that they respond, how they show up. And we just have to be in a place to where we are able to give grace to ourselves and to others, because we are dealing with some stuff. Especially with the climate of our world right now, we are dealing with some stuff. And it's some heavy stuff that we've not dealt with before to this degree or this level. And so it's important that we give ourselves grace. It's important that we seek help. And it's important that we understand that there are many myths behind mental health illnesses and mental conditions. And so we're going to talk about some of the myths and misconceptions. So myth number 1, you have to be diagnosed with a mental illness to need help. That is so far from the truth. You can feel overwhelmed, burned out, anxious, or disconnected. And that's a valid reason for you to seek out care for your mental health. You don't have to have a diagnosis of depression or bipolar disorder or schizophrenia or anxiety or PST, post-traumatic stress disorder. You don't have to have an actual diagnosis to get help. You can get help just based on the symptoms that you're having. Myth number 2, just be positive. Everything will fix itself. Truth is, positive thinking helps, but it doesn't replace the real strategies or professional help and support that can often be needed for individuals who are dealing with some of the symptoms that I mentioned. The third myth is therapy is only for people in crisis. That is so far from the truth. The truth is therapy can help anyone, whether you're navigating major life changes or you're trying to better understand yourself and others around you. I can say that I am an advocate for therapy. I have been in therapy for a few years, and it started for the second time after my grandmother passed. The first time I was in therapy was dealing with another situation that really rocked me to the core, and I didn't know how to navigate it. And so I needed that professional help to help me navigate and move and transition as my life was changing in a way that I never thought it would. And so it was important for me to get help. And I can say this about therapy. It seemed like it got worse before it got better. And I remember telling the therapist, I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about this. This is the reason. This is why I am here. And I don't want to talk about that. But what I had to understand is that I needed to talk about all that stuff in order to deal with where I was now, because all of that stuff helped lead me to where I was in the current moment and in that current situation. And so once I was able to understand that, it was easy for me to navigate. Not easy, but it was helpful, and it was conducive for me to be able to navigate and transition into the next phase of my life. And let's not forget, there's stigmas in many communities, especially communities of color, around seeking mental health support, especially in men, especially in brown and Black people. And we've got to break that down. We've got to break those stigmas down, and we've got to break down the labels that we place on people based on what they're dealing with mentally. Needing help is not weakness. And I can tell you, I just mentioned that. For me, it felt like it was a sign of weakness because I needed help. It's actually a form of strength to identify that I need help. And it's a form of strength to actually go out and get that help and ask for help and seek out the resources that you need to help you move through whatever it is that you're dealing with. So how do we support our mental health daily? There are a few things that we can put into practice, a few things that we can add to our routine that are simple, free, and practical that can help us each and every day. 1, free, prioritizing sleep. Sleep and mental health are deeply connected. And we want to aim, as I mentioned before, 7 to 9 hours of sleep. If we're being honest, can we say that we're actually getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep? I know there's some individuals that I know they routinely get 7 to 9 hours of sleep each night. And sometimes I'm a little envious of that because, I need work in that area. So we know that's a priority and we understand. And that was one of the reasons and one of the issues that I struggled so bad after the death of my grandmother. I wasn't able to sleep. And there was a time where I had been up for literally about 72 hours and maybe have slept an hour or two in that 72-hour time frame. I just could not go to sleep. If I laid down, I would wake, I could not go to sleep. And I struggled so bad. And I continued to try and work and to do all the things with business and, all this stuff. And it just was not helping me. It was making the situation worse. Exercise, it releases really good hormones, endorphins, that help us boost our mental capacity. It helps us feel better. Even a 10-minute walk can help reset your mood. And I know during my day, I do work from home. So during my day, there are times where I get up and I go and I walk the dogs, or I'll just go and get out of the house, walk around my little cul-de-sac or what have you. And I come back and I feel renewed and refreshed. Not that the same stresses aren't here waiting for me when I get back, because they are. It's just that now I'm in a different frame of mind. I'm able to breathe in some fresh air and kind of refocus and come back and be ready to deal with the challenges that lie ahead. Breathe and be still. Taking deep breaths, breathing in for 4, holding for 4, and exhaling for 4 is helpful. Breathe in for 4. So you breathe in for 4, hold it for 4, and exhale for 4 can definitely help you. Or the 3-2-1 grounding techniques. Name 3 things you see, 2 things you hear, and 1 thing that you feel. These things have been very helpful for individuals who are dealing with either panic attacks or anxiety attacks. And until I experienced both, I thought they were both the same, but they're not. And it was during those times that I realized I was not breathing. I would be holding my breath and be like an audible sigh, because I felt like I just needed to breathe. The more I paid attention to my breath, and when I'm holding my breath and when I feel tense, I tend to hold my stress here, my shoulders and my neck. And so my shoulders, there's a thing that's in Peloton world, your shoulders are not earrings. It's giving us a clue to drop our shoulders, so we're not hunching them up here. Once I realized what stress looks like in my body, I was able to then counteract it with things such as breathing and stretching and all of the other things. Another thing that really works for me and something that I've been doing for years is journaling. Get your thoughts out of your head and onto paper. It helps you process your stress. For me, journaling has always been one of my first go-tos in terms of outlet, apart from prayer. But journaling was a place where I could go, especially when I was younger, a little girl. I could write about my feelings when I didn't have the courage, or I didn't have the ability to talk to someone about it, or when I was fearful to go and talk to my mom or someone else for fear of, what have you. So journaling definitely helped. Nourishing your body. And one of the things when we tend to get stressed, we don't eat, or we stress eat. And so it's that delicate balance, right? But for me, when I was going through that time frame, that period of a really great deep depression and anxiety and insomnia after my grandmother passed a couple of years ago, I couldn't eat. I had no appetite. So there was days I ate nothing for like 3 or 4 days at a time. And I lost so much weight and I lost so much muscle mass. And while I couldn't see the change in my body because I wasn't paying attention to it, others around me could. And so making sure that we're eating foods to support brain health, the omega-3s, the good fats, that's included in the salmon and the walnuts, the leafy greens and berries are going to help our brain, right? Making sure that we're getting enough protein in, making sure we're drinking enough water, and all the things that are going to help to nourish our body and our brain. And so that we're not breaking down our muscle and going into starvation because we're not eating. That impacts the brain as well. And it also impacts your kidneys, your heart, your lungs, all of those other important organ systems. And so another thing is staying connected. Typically when individuals are going through and they're stressed, they tend to withdraw and isolate themselves. Making sure you're staying connected when you're feeling stress is important, because isolation only compounds the stress that you feel. So making sure if you have a friend, that one person, reach out to that one person so that you can talk to. If you have a good relationship with your mother, make sure you can call your mom or someone, your significant other, just talk with someone about what you're going on. And there's so many different support groups that I found out about that I did not know until I actually went through that process. And it was of great help for me. Knowing when to ask for help. And as a healthcare provider, when I am screening a patient for depression and when I'm screening a patient for suicidal thoughts, we do this screening called the PHTQ, and there's 2 questions that we ask. Have you felt down, hopeless, or depressed, or any anxiety or something to that degree? But based on the answer to those 2 questions, then there's a full PHQ-9, which is a further in-depth questionnaire that we ask in screening that we go through. And I can recall talking to a patient, and she didn't have thoughts of suicide, but she said, if I didn't wake up tomorrow, I'd be okay. And I can say that during that time frame, I felt that way. I didn't have any thoughts of hurting myself. But if I didn't wake up tomorrow, then I would have definitely been okay. I'm okay now, and I don't have those thoughts. But when I was in the thick of all of that, I felt that way many days. And I felt like that was an out. Like, I wouldn't have to deal with any of this if I just didn't wake up tomorrow. But in reality, I wanted to wake up tomorrow. I just needed to be able to navigate what I was dealing with and get the help that I needed from professional therapists. And when I tell you I was in therapy, it was intensive therapy. I didn't realize it was that bad until I was in therapy, but it definitely helped. And so knowing when to ask for help. If daily tasks feel overwhelming, if you are withdrawing, if you're feeling persistently low, it's okay to talk to a therapist or your healthcare provider. And I'm so grateful for my primary care provider. She's a nurse practitioner, and she was the first person that I talked to when I started feeling anxiety. And she was able to help me navigate that process. And I'm so grateful for her to be open to have those conversations with me and to help me navigate, because I didn't know what to do next. I didn't know what I didn't know what to do with what I was feeling. And when I tell you I felt weak because I was dealing with this, because I've always been the strong person. I've always been there for everyone. I've always been able to navigate and take care of whatever, no matter how stressful life had been for me. But at this point, I just couldn't do it. And the more I tried, the worse the situation got. Wellness is not about being perfect. It's about being intentional. It's so about being intentional and knowing when to reach out for help. If you're having thoughts of suicide, of harming yourself, of harming others, we want you to call 988. That's the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. Even if you're not there and you just need someone to talk to, those individuals are available for you. If you're someone that's connected to a local church, reach out to a church. Even if you're not connected and you don't go to that church, it's okay to reach out. It's okay to DM someone in their direct message on Instagram or social media if you need help and they're a therapist or something like that. Reach out, get the help that you need. There's so many resources that are available that can help you navigate what you're going through. Now, I want to take a few moments to just say, I appreciate each and every one of you for all that you do, for each and every one of you that show up every day for your family, for your friends, for the mothers who are showing up and working and running businesses and are being there for everyone. Make sure that you're taking time for yourself. That's one thing that we tend to not focus on a lot. There's a big, not really celebration, but there's a lot said about being busy and booked and busy, right? It's okay to be booked and busy, but make sure you're carving out some time for you. I am on vacation right now, and I took some days off just so that I can have some downtime, because work has been super busy. Business has been super busy. There's a lot happening within my family life, and I just needed some time. My hope was to be away on some island for my birthday this year or around that. However, I'm home and I'm just going to make the best of it and take those times. And there's times throughout the year that I'll just take a day and just go and do a massage or go to the beach. I live an hour away from New Smyrna Beach, and that's my new favorite place when I'm not home and I just feel like I need to get away. Being near the water is so helpful, and it just helps to bring me back center. I go to the beach, I bring my journal, I bring my Bible, I bring my tablet, my worship music, and I just sit there and I worship. There's times where I end up falling asleep at the beach because it's so peaceful. Where is your peaceful place? What is it that brings you peace? What is it that helps you to navigate the stressful seasons and situations in your life? Reach out for help. It's so important that we reach out for help. So what can I do? Some sample questions and some questions that I've received when I've attended different mental health groups or when I talk to individuals about mental health. So one of the things is, what can I do if I have a friend that's struggling? The most powerful thing that you can do is listen without judgment. And I'm so grateful to a friend and friends who showed up for me and who listened, even when I had nothing to say. And that's powerful. I had no words to say, and they would stay on the phone with me or they would sit in my house with me for hours on end in silence. I had a friend call me out when I was dealing with depression and couldn't understand what was going on, and I was in denial. She let me know that I wasn't alone. She gently encouraged me to talk to someone to get some help, and she was very instrumental in my process of healing the first time that I had to go through therapy. What's the difference between burnout and depression is another question. Burnout is often tied to work or caregiving. It's an emotional exhaustion. We have many individuals who are my age, and I just had a birthday, so I just turned 49. I'm almost 50 Cent, y'all. I got a couple more months, 11 more months, and I'll be 50 Cent, which is a blessing in and of itself. I'm so grateful to have had another birthday. I didn't want anything for my birthday. I was just grateful to be surrounded by my family and friends. If I didn't get one gift, I would have been perfectly fine. But to understand what caregiving does and how it impacts your whole life, and to step up and be a caregiver for someone is an amazing thing, but yet it comes with a lot. And I'm at the age and generation where many of my friends are caregivers to their parents, and our parents are aging, and I see my parents and I see the changes in them. And some days it sits heavy, it weighs heavy on me. But I know that when they need me, I will be there for them. And so burnout is related to work or caregiving. Depression is deeper. It may feel deeper. It's a persistent sadness, loss of interest, changes in your appetite or sleep. But both are just as equally as important. And if in doubt, we want you to make sure you're talking to somebody. As I wrap up, I got two simple things that I want you to take away from this. The first one is mental health is health, and you take care of it just as you would your physical body. It's just that important. The second thing is small, consistent actions matter. You don't have to do everything at once. Start with one habit daily. If that means getting up and making your bed every day, then that's a win. And that's one of the ways that I know that I'm getting off track, is when I don't get up and make my bed, because I was in a habit. As soon as I got out of that bed, it was made. The room was straightened up, the curtains went open, and blinds are open, sunlight is coming in. But when I begin to go into patterns of feeling low or what have you, or just having really stressful days and I just don't feel like it, the first thing that stops is me making my bed. So one simple step: make your bed every morning. Get up, get some fresh air. If you or someone you love is in crisis, you can text or call 988. I mentioned that earlier. That's the National Mental Health Crisis Line. And if you're ready to take the step towards a better wellness, Wells Legacy Health and Wellness is here for you. We do offer mental health check-ins, primary care, support for your everyday need, and support for the whole person. We want to make sure that you're following our page. We're on all social medias. It's Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Check us out. Follow us. And tag someone that may need this message if you have not already done so. Like and share the page if you haven't. Follow us on our YouTube and subscribe so you know when we are live and when we have some new content out there. We're going to be doing some new things. We are accepting some insurances, guys. We are officially approved to accept Blue Cross Blue Shield and Cigna, as well as some Medicare and Medicaid insurances. So give us a call to see if we accept your insurance. If you know someone that's looking for a primary care provider, let them know we're now accepting some insurance. Of course, we're still available for our cash-based patients, those who have insurance but don't want to utilize it for certain services that are not covered, or you don't have insurance and you need a healthcare provider that is reasonable and feasible for you. We are here for you. Thank you for joining tonight. Take care of your mind. You only get one. And drop a green heart for me if you watched this live and you got something that helped you tonight. I just want to say thank you all so much. And until next time, stay safe and be well. This is Dr. Latoya Wells with Wells Legacy Health and Wellness. Take care.